Hey everybody, my name is Justin and today I'm going to be going over some quick maintenance on some duck boots. So these specifically are my friend's duck boots that I think she said are about 7 or 8 years old. I don't think that they've ever had any work done to them or any conditioning done to them. To the left here is my wife's duck boots, which are basically brand new. You can see the difference in color. I assume that the difference in color is different models, basically, because this brown is noticeably darker. I don't think that's just wear. So you can see from some close-ups here that the duck boots that I'm conditioning are in pretty rough condition, and I'm going to see how well I can match them up to looking like new again. I'll go over the supplies that we're going to use and then we'll jump right into it. So here are the supplies that I'm using. So this is the Jason Markk shoe cleaner. You can find this on Amazon. It comes with a brush, and then I use a little dish with a little bit of water. And you can use this to clean leather shoes, tennis shoes, suede shoes, anything like that. Basically, you just put a liberal amount into the bowl, mix it up, and then just basically go to town. I'll only be using that on the rubber portion of this boot though, because I don't think the leather itself is that dirty. It just probably needs to be brushed off. Next thing I have is a brush for brown colored shoes. You don't really want to mix your brushes or else you can get the different dyes and stuff on the wrong color shoes. I have a towel here for when things get wet from the water, and then I have a cloth that's just a t-shirt cut up for applying the different creams. So next I have the Saphir Renovateur. This is a conditioner for the boot. So I'm going to apply that first to just moisturize the leather itself, and then after that I have 2 different shoe creams. I have one black and one brown. These are both creams from Amazon that are highly reviewed. I'll have the links in the description below for all of this, but let's get to it. So let's move my wife's boots out of the way and move into this conditioning. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the laces. Once you do this a couple times, you kind of figure out how laces go on, but if you've never restored shoes before, then you will figure it out quickly that laces aren't as easy as they seem. So let's get these things taken off. All right, that's the laces off. Let's just set them over here to the side. Okay, so now that I have the laces off, I actually see that there's a bunch of like frayed ends and loose strings coming out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of those first so they're out of the way. I'm just going to use a little razor blade and I'm going to cut them pretty close to the leather without getting too close so I don't mess up the leather. And then next, I'm just going to take some fire and go ahead and singe them down. All right, so next thing is to clean the rubber itself. So for that, I'm going to use my Jason Markk shoe cleaning kit. This can be used on all sorts of materials, but for today, I'm just going to be using it on the rubber. So I have a little bowl of water here. Just going to use this to mix it around. It doesn't really have too high of a top, so I have to be careful. But then I'm going to use this cloth because water will get everywhere. If not, I'm just gonna go ahead and get it nice and sudsy. You wanna use like a decent amount of pressure while you're doing this, especially on rubber, because there's nothing really to hurt on it and it'll really get all the dirt off. One of the main pieces that I feel like people will forget about is doing this bottom line and not just the top. So this bottom will have a lot of dirt on it, and it's a pretty good contrast if you can get it all off. I'm not even gonna let it dry. I'm just gonna go ahead and rub it all off. Okay, so both the rubber parts on each boot are cleaned. You can do that same process on any sneaker, really most types of shoe with that cleaner. So it's really just getting a good suds on it and then wiping it off with a towel. So the next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and clean off the leather with our brush. I don't see this leather as being dirty or muddy or anything like that, so I didn't see a need to really clean off the leather and wait for it to dry, as we would have to do with the cleaner. So we're just going to go ahead and give it a quick brush to get any dust or anything off of it, and then we're going to go ahead and go forward with the conditioner. So just a quick brush all around. Alrighty, so now it's brushed off, let's go ahead and use our Saphir Renovateur. This is the cheap version of their cream. I'm not sure what the difference is between the two, but this is just a moisturizing cream. So basically these obviously haven't really been moisturized or had any cream on them in a long time. So this is just going to bring back some of the softness and moisturize the leather for dyed cream that we're going to use. So you just stick it on your finger, and then you're just going to go ahead and push it in. So you can kind of feel exactly how much it needs. You can also see it, but basically once you get up to like a more dry spot, it'll get kind of hard to brush in, so you'll know exactly, you know, when you need to grab some more and put it on. So you can be pretty liberal with this stuff. It's not going to hurt anything when it dries or when it's on the leather. So you want to make sure that you get in all the weird nooks and crannies. This shoe specifically has them. Most leather shoes will not, but since this is like a big boot, this obviously has them. So that is one shoe done, and I will show you the difference up here if I can. You can see the difference between the two. One of them is, oh, can I get it in frame? It's just darker now. It's got a little bit more moisture in them. You can feel that this one is much softer. It's not meant to be a dye, so once this dries off, it will probably come a little closer to this color again, but you can see still where it was worn and the leather was messed up. This hasn't done any fixing of that. The dye, when it comes in, should fix this type of stuff. But you can see how there's different shades here. It has kind of corrected some of that, but not all of it. So, yeah. Brings out a little bit darker of a color. So let's get to the next one. So one thing that's a little different on these than normal boots is you have this, or normal shoes I should say, or you have this lip up at the top. So just make sure that you get the lips. You also have it on the side of the tongue here. And just like that, we're good for the Renovator. You can see that both boots are the same color again. Ciao, 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 ciao. Okay, so after that step, we're gonna go ahead and brush again. Just make sure that, you know, any of the excess cream or anything is in and where it needs to be. I don't know if you can tell too much of a difference on camera, but the unbrushed shoe is a little duller. So it does bring out some luster. You can actually finish here. You don't need to particularly add cream, especially if you've done, colored cream. You don't need to do any type of dyed cream. So you can be done at this step. You don't need to go one step farther, but you can kind of see the difference between the brushed and then non-brushed. It just brings out that shine a little more. And that's also what it's going to do when we put the colored cream on it as well. Okay, both of these are brushed. The next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is the colored creams. So I have a black and a brown here, because the brown, you can see, maybe, is, actually, that's pretty close. Let me put a little bit on and see what it looks like. I was thinking that, oh yeah, never mind. Scratch that. We're just using a brown. So this is basically the same exact technique as the cream or the conditioner that we just used. I don't know. Sorry if I'm interchanging terms here. So this is going to be the same technique as the conditioner. We're just going to put some on our fingers, and then we are just going to go ahead and rub it around, making sure that we get the top just like before. So you can feel with your finger once you get to kind of a dry spot when you need to reapply. The only way to really know is to do it, but it's not something that really takes a long time to figure out. So one of the things that you want to look out for when using the cream is not to get it on the rubber. In this case, it probably doesn't matter because rubber is really resilient, but when you have other shoes that might not have a rubber base and getting on it could dye it. So just being careful when you're towards the base of the shoe that you are applying the cream to. Okay, so this is with cream and this is with just conditioner. So you can see it's a little matte colored again. I guess this color is a little lighter now. but more even. And we'll see that once we clean it up. Let's get to the shoe. Okay, so the cream is applied to both. You can do this step as many times as needed. Like if you have a lot of discoloration, you can see how it's fixed here. But if you say that one coat didn't fix it, you can keep putting this on as much as possible. This is not a wax. It's not going to build layers. This is going to go into the shoe. Use as many times as you like, but I only need to use it once. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the cloth and we're going to rub it in a little more. You're going to want to kind of make 2 fingers and then just wrap the cloth in it. I do not have the correct length, but it'll still work. And then basically you're just going to polish, making sure this will give you a little shine, and it's going to make sure that you've really rubbed it in everywhere. From that step, you should see this is shinier and this is dull. Same idea as the brush, but this really heats it up and really pushes it down in there, whereas the brush is more just a surface layer kind of thing. Both shoes are now polished with the cloth. And for the final step, we're just going to use this brush one last time. Same exact thing as before, just doing nice quick brushes across what we polished. And let's see if you can see a difference. You can see the brushed is a little more polished. I don't know how much. So that's unbrushed. And that is brushed. There you go. Now you can see a little reflection, whereas that reflection isn't as much. So, yeah. Let's go on to the next one. All right, both shoes brushed. Let's do the final step and put the laces back on. So sometimes I'll go ahead and clean the laces, but these are pretty dark colored and there's not too much to clean with them. We'll just figure this out and relace them. All right, so the laces don't look perfect, but that's because they are older and kind of have retained their shape. So maybe washing them would have actually been good to get them to loosen up a little bit. I do wish I would have just done one boot instead of doing both boots at the same time, so you can see a before and after. But with the B-roll that I have, I'll see if I can do a good cut to see the differences between the 2 boots. I think they look really good. The discoloration's gone on a lot of the side. I see a few spots, but that might even go away after drying up a good bit. Hopefully this was a good tutorial to show you how to maintain some leather shoes, whether you have boots or dress shoes or anything. Most of this applies to either. I obviously don't have any expensive gear or any particularly nice gear. I'm using all pretty much base shelf items to do this, and I think that it looks great, and I've used them on really high dollar shoes and cheaper shoes. Hopefully that shows that you don't really need to spend a whole bunch on shoe care stuff to get your shoes to look good. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. And if you want to see more content or have any questions, leave me a comment below. Thanks.